Former Attorney General Pam Bondi has arrived on Capitol Hill to face questions about the Epstein files. She was initially subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee back in March. The interview today is behind closed doors. She will not be sworn in under oath, and it will not be videotaped. It will be transcribed. Now, there are questions about what was released in the Epstein files and what was not. Over-redactions on some pages, while the names and private information of some victim survivors were released on other pages. This is what one survivor had to say on Capitol Hill about this morning.
So we hope that today is actually a day where maybe she's had some reckoning and maybe there is some transparency now that she doesn't have the threat of being fired. I just hope that she does have a moment where she remembers her own humanity and our humanity and finds her compassion and remembers that this is a bigger story than political rhetoric.
Let's get right to CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed, who is live on Capitol Hill this morning where this is happening. Paula.
That's right. Right now, former Attorney General Pam Bondi sitting across from lawmakers here on Capitol Hill, answering what we expect will be some pretty tough questions about her handling of all things Epstein. That includes the investigation itself, the release of these files. She may even get some questions about why Ghislaine Maxwell was transferred from one prison to another. Now, again, this has been a highly anticipated appearance. Lawmakers expected to grill her, but this will not be on camera. This will not be broadcast live, nor will it be recorded. We may get a transcript in about a week or so, so we are relying on our sources inside the room to tell us what's happening. But a short time ago, Bondi released a statement, so we do know that her opening statement to lawmakers will include a thorough defense of her handling of this matter. But I also want to know her message to survivors. She said, quote, "I would like to repeat what I shared before the House Judiciary Committee in February. I have spent my entire career fighting for victims, and I will continue to do so. I am deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, especially as a result of that monster. If they do have any information to share with law enforcement about anyone who has hurt them or abused them, the FBI is waiting to hear from them." Now, there are many survivors up here on Capitol Hill, at least one of them pressing Chairman Comer on his way in, demanding that they try to get some answers. Let's take a listen to that exchange.
Can you assure us that today we will get information from Pam Bondi about why the files were released in the manner that they were released, specifically the redaction process? Survivors' names over and over and over were exposed, yet we see time and time again perpetrators' names have been redacted when they shouldn't have been. Well, are we going to get some answers about that?
I hope so. Those are questions we're going to ask.
Survivors there demanding answers about why survivor names and personal information were not fully redacted during the release of these files. And I also want to note this appearance comes as the former Attorney General has been diagnosed with thyroid cancer. She tells me she received this diagnosis around the time she was fired from the Justice Department. She has been receiving treatment, including surgery a few weeks ago. She is still recovering from that surgery. Now, this hearing, we don't know how long it's going to go, John. It could last a couple hours. It could last 6 to 8 hours. It just depends how many questions these lawmakers have for the nation's formerly top law enforcement official.
And we will stand by to figure out if you learn anything about what's going on inside. Any messages, contemporaneous or otherwise. Paula Reed on Capitol Hill, thank you very much for that update. Kate?
And joining us right now is a survivor of Epstein's abuse, Wilshire Blvd, and her attorney, Gloria Allred, who is representing 27 of Epstein's survivors. Thank you both for being here. Alicia, as we just heard from my colleague, Paula Reed, we do have an opening statement of what Pam Bondi is going to say when she sits down. And at the very bottom of her, at the very end of her opening statement, Pam Bondi in this says this: "The bottom line is, justice and transparency in this matter have been delivered at the direction of President Trump and his administration." What do you think of hearing that?
I don't think it has all been delivered. I would like for them to ask her, why, Miss Bondi, did you tell Fox News that the Epstein files were on your desk? They're sitting on your desk for review. And then later, the DOJ said there's nothing here. There is nothing in the files. So I would like for them to ask her that. And when are they all going to be released? I don't think that's a proper statement that she said that. All the files need to be released, and they haven't been released. And why, when they were, why did the DOJ said there's nothing here in the files?
Gloria, what are you thinking about in terms of if you would be going into this conversation, this interview with Pam Bondi right now? From your perspective, what should she be asked?
Well, I think it's really important to remember, by the way, that just 2 days ago there was a complaint filed with the Florida Bar by the retired Supreme Court Justice of the Florida Supreme Court and 100 legal scholars and judges alleging that she has violated her professional responsibilities, violated the trust of the public, because and that she has misled the public in her handling of the files, and the fact that victims' names and sensitive information, identification of them, was released and was unredacted, while the names of alleged perpetrators were redacted, in other words, covered up. She has a lot of explaining to do, and we have to ask, you know, why is her testimony not being videotaped? Why is it not under oath? Why are we just going to have to wait and get a transcribed copy of it? She was the Attorney General of the United States. She has a lot of responsibility to the public. And if she has misled the public and not delivered justice and not been a role model of ethical responsibility, then she needs to be accountable to the state bar, because she needs to be accountable to the public as an attorney. She had a duty to protect the survivors. And, you know, there were photographs, naked photographs, Kate, of some females who were thought to be possibly underage, in other words, children, that were released in the Epstein files. How did this happen? Is she taking responsibility for the failures of her staff? She's the head. She needs to take responsibility and not just issue political statements like, we have delivered justice, when this is far from justice for the survivors who have been hurt by what the Department of Justice has done.
There's also this element, Alicia, where I'm seeing this also in the statement where Pam Bondi says, if they, meaning any survivor, have any information to share with law enforcement about anyone who has hurt them or abused them, the FBI is waiting to hear from them. Just yesterday, I had Marina Lacerda on, an Epstein survivor who says that she was just 14 years old when she met Jeffrey Epstein. And she says that they have been waiting and asking to speak with the FBI, to hear from the Justice Department, to hear from the now acting Attorney General, to talk about the names they have, to tell their stories, and to actually give them information. And she says that has absolutely not happened. These two things don't seem to me that they can both be true. What do you think of this?
I think Miss Bondi is overwhelmed. I think she's in a position where she may have been in over her head, being in the position that she's in. It's very overwhelming to her, and I hope these other people will come forward, other victims will come forward like I did. But I think Miss Bondi needs to release all of the files, which she hasn't. I think she's was overwhelmed by everything that came up, and she said that the files are on her desk. They're sitting on my desk for review. Remember when she actually said that? And then I don't know what happened. The DOJ, she released him, and the DOJ said that there is nothing there. So I think she's just so in over her head.
I would say also, Kate, that the FBI did interview many alleged survivors. I know they interviewed many of my clients. And then there was the whole issue when the files were released that they didn't release what's called the 302s, in other words, the FBI interviews of many of the survivors. So why did they fail to do that? Why are they not responding to any survivors who still wish to be interviewed by the FBI. And, you know, why did Todd Blanche at some point say that that nobody was going to be prosecuted, no men were going to be prosecuted? There's only one person who's been prosecuted and convicted, and that's Ms. Maxwell. And the public wants to know, who are the other names who helped to conspire and support and enable Jeffrey Epstein, and who perhaps sexually exploited, sex trafficked children and adult females? We don't have that information. So this is a failure of the Department of Justice, and there has to be accountability. There better not be softball questions for Ms. Bondi. She needs to get the tough questions, not engage in distractions and trying to name call members of Congress. She needs to answer those questions directly.
And there are names in those files, and those men should be prosecuted.
Wilshire Arden, Gloria Allred, thank you both very much.